At home with a lifetime of stories and songs, people we've met and the places we've gone. Along the way found where and how we belong. At home with a lifetime of stories and songs. Welcome to more Songs and Stories from Home, podcasts that give voice to songs with stories and stories with songs written and being written over the course of a lifetime, often illuminating the journey we all make, together and alone, finding our way home. One Love and Two Lives, Part 5. Next stop, the river. Growing up in the 50s and the 60s, the Spokane River, surrounded by commerce and industry, was barely part of our lives. The Olmsted brothers, part of the family famous for designing Central Park in New York City, when asked to design Spokane's park system in 1908, didn't even consider the river in any of their plans. And then in 1974, Spokane hosted a World's Fair. Downtown was transformed with Riverfront Park its centerpiece. The river that previously felt like a dividing line between north and south became a gathering place for all. So now, there are lots of memories of times at the river, including taking short breaks there when my dad was in the hospital. Then, for the next 20 years, a place we visited often with my mom. The sight and sound of the river can be overwhelming and awe-inspiring, especially in the spring. Standing there, one begins to consider all that rivers represent. Life, the passage of time, the paths we take, the power to cleanse, the boundary between the physical and the afterlife. On a visit to India, Pat and I went out on the Ganges in Varanasi. We lit floating candles in remembrance of those no longer with us. Now, another river, another day of remembering, this time with songs and stories and flowers. At the river, we sing a song about one good last goodbye. Another, how my folks have now become guardians and guides. And then sing that there is something about a river. And at the falls, we sing this far, after all. After stopping at places that were important in the lives of my parents, and then at gardens, places they loved that also represent the cycles of life, we stopped at various spots along the Spokane River. It's a very specific river that can also and does also represent the river of life, a tangible metaphor of moving water. The Spokane River runs through downtown Spokane. For years, that area was industrial, and the river sort of divided the city north and south. And then there was a World's Fair in our not-so-big town in 1974, and what had once been filled with industry was transformed into a park. What had once divided the city became a place that brought everyone together. The river, the park, took on new significance and added meaning to me 25 years ago when Dad was in the hospital, and the commitment was made in the family that he would not be alone during the day. So someone was there with him all the time. And then when it came time to take a needed break, the river is where we came. And then for years afterwards, this is where we came with my mom, where we came for so many reasons, and where we came again on Memorial Day weekend of 2022 to say one good last goodbye. And we've come to the banks of this river. We stood with you so many times. Today we've come to remember and to say one good last goodbye. Remembering the joy and the laughter and the ties that forever bind, to memories more than we could ask for. Ah, here's to one good last goodbye. One good last goodbye. Go safely, my friend, and if God should we'll see you again. You've come to that moment, cross over to where love and peace shall abide, as you become part of forever. Well, here's to one good last goodbye. We've come to the banks of this river where we stood with you so many times. Today we have come to remember and to say one good last goodbye. One good last goodbye. Go safely, my friend, and if God should we'll see you again. One good last goodbye. Go safely, my friend, and if God should we'll see you again. A few years ago, I was talking to my friend Connie Jacobson for what we both knew would be the last time. We've been getting together since I was in college. We got together for coffee and conversation. And because of his faith, he explained at our last meeting, though he knew he was dying, that he was confident that life was going to go on after this one, and that he would soon be part of what he called a mystical body, where everyone who is part of it contributes to the greater good and shares in the welfare of all. And as I was getting ready to come back to Spokane to honor my parents, I thought about what Connie said, about what he believed. And when I thought of who my parents had been when they were alive and who they had become for me now, I saw them as guardians and guides. First at the beginning of my life, and in a new way now toward the end of my life. It was a comforting thing to think about. From the moment I was born till the day that I left home, I knew somehow you were protecting me, that I was not alone. You were teaching me the world's ways so I could understand all those things I had to learn as I became a man. My guardians, my guides, right there by my side, in my heart and in my mind. My guardians and my guides. These days when I'm in tough spots and I don't know where to turn, I think of everything you taught me. I thought about all I have learned, and all that you have showed me, all you told me, all I know now to be true. And at those moments, in those places, I ask myself, what would you do? My guardians and my guides, right there by my side, in my heart and in my mind. My guardians and my guides, guardians and my guides, right there by my side, in my heart and in my mind. guardians and my guides.
We got to know this spot this time of year. There's nothing like it. There's something special about the falls. The idea that once we go over them, there's no turning back, and our lives are forever changed. Here are those sayings: life happens when we're making other plans. Or if you want to see God laugh, tell her or him about your plans. We tell ourselves that life is precious and it can't be over just like that.
One of the features of Riverfront Park in downtown Spokane are the falls. And there's no more amazing time to be there than in the late spring. There's a footbridge that's suspended over those falls. Stood there many times feeling that spray. We felt it in those May days in 2022. Well, we often go on walking down along the riverside. We have never seen the river run as wild or rage as high. Standing out there on that footbridge, better part of an hour. Feel the roar beneath us with its destructive healing power. There is something about a river that's magic and a mystery. Something about that moving water that can wash the soul and body clean. It can start a heart a-pumping. It can put a heart to rest. There is something about a river that a heart cannot express. I can sense the power and danger as we stand there on the shore. Feel the crash of waves and water as the raging river roars. Just when we think that life is ours to own and to control, it's time to go down to the river as it finds its own way home. 'Cause there is something about a river that's magic and a mystery. Something about that moving water to wash the soul and body clean, that can start a heart a-pumping, put a heart to rest. There is something about a river that a heart cannot express. Oh, there's just something about a river that a heart cannot express. There's a pocket park below the falls where Pat and I stopped next. And it was there I sang a song that I wrote for my parents in the early 80s when they were dealing with financial crisis and crisis of confidence. And when I first sang it to them, I didn't tell them that it was written for them. And then after I'd finished singing and before I could tell them that it was for them, my mom says, "Oh, Roy, he wrote that song for us." And now it somehow adds meaning some 40 years later on the other side of these falls to sing it one more time. Loving you forever's been the easy part. The day to day, from time to time, it has been hard. Along the way we found and lost a dream or two. The only thing that's never changed is I love you. After all, we made it this far. Sometimes we had our backs against the wall. And while it seems we're always finding some new scar, we made it this far after all. Some Sometimes you tell me everything was great. I wouldn't know how bad that was till it was too late. Might not be what we did, but how and why. I could be wrong, but maybe we've done something right. After all, we made it this far. Sometimes we had our backs against the wall. And while it seems we're always finding some new scar, we made it this far after all. We never had to ask what might have been. When it wasn't good, well, we just start again. Have to laugh to think of all the things we've done, and smile when I think the best is yet to come. After all, we made it this far. Sometimes we had our backs against the wall. While it seems we're always finding some new scar, we made it this far after all. While it seems we're always finding some new scar, we made it this far after all. Thank you for watching or listening to more songs and stories from home. Come back next time for part 6 of One Love and Two Lives, knowing you're welcome here at home with a lifetime of stories and songs.